Hello and welcome to another rendition of Cooking with the Mad Wolf. And as you probably could tell from tonight's title, you're gonna figure it out. I'm making cheeseburgers, and this is everything that you need. Not that, well, you kind of need that, but that's besides the point. We got some cheese, we got some dead cow, got a convoluted hybrid mess of onions and pickles, and you might be wondering why the chopped onions are mixed with the chopped pickles. Well, you see, my friend, it is because onions want to have pickle babies, and they're going to have those weird freaks inside the hamburger. If that doesn't make sense, I'm hoping when you see what's going to happen that it will be explained to you. And the last thing we have is a pot bun and McCormick spicy Montreal steaks seasoning, which you know I like this stuff if you've seen my other video involving dead cow making cheesesteaks. So anyway, so you might also be wondering why I'm using a pot, and you're thinking, Mad Wolf, what the hell? You know that burgers are supposed to be grilled. That is a good question, Johnny Strong Johns. And the point is, actually, I have a really good answer for that question, which I will not divulge at this point. So the first thing that you're actually going to do is you're going to take that, it's roughly about a pound of dead cow hamburger, and you're going to like turn it into balls. So what I'm doing right now is I'm grabbing roughly about half the hamburger. You have to kind of guesstimate how much you're ripping. It's not a proper percentage ratio. Then you take that half and you rip it again. I'm just gonna drop that there. Put that there. Okay. So as you can see, I have the dead cow in my hand. You might be thinking, Mad Wolf, isn't it kind of disgusting to have cold dead cow meat in your hand? Truth of the matter is it kind of is disgusting. Truth of the matter is life is kind of disgusting, and we have to do things that we don't always like doing. I've had a couple of those experiences lately, in case you might want to know. I doubt you do. I doubt you do. So, here we have, I'd say about a quarter pound of hamburger meat. I bet you're wanting this to drop on the floor, aren't you? And that, boys and girls, is how you make meatballs. Thank you for watching Cooking with the Mad Wolf. Yeah, no, I'm not that stupid. So the thing is, now we have the 4 meatballs. What we're going to do, we're going to take about just a small handful of the onions and the pickles. And it's kind of hard to have an angle here. There we go. And a little bit more. I like onions. You can use more or less onions. You don't have to use a whole bunch of onions, but I personally like onions. It might be a little bit too much. I like onions more than pickles. So now what we do is we take the ball and we just beat that stuff into the core of, we're trying not to have things hit the floor, and then like we can fold it like a taco, and in our hand we just squish it up. Okay, and then you're gonna like just squish it into a patty. And actually, stuff did not get mixed around too great, so I'm tearing up that patty and I'm rearranging things. Yeah. Don't worry, the cow's already dead, so it doesn't feel a thing. And if it ain't dead, well, I'm sorry. It's probably very not happy. There we go. So we have one patty. Really, that's the only patty you need. It's the thing you make. Yeah, you can just, I mean, they call it patties, so you pat it. But in all honesty, if you do that, sometimes it shakes the ingredients loose. And so there we go. There we go. Yeah, we got a patty. I squish it. Come on. When you mix onions and pickles in it, it does have a tendency of tearing up the meat. I think it's because too much stuff is getting in between said meat, but I'm no expert. This is just my assumptions from my own experience. I am kind of self-taught. Now I'm going to put in the McCormick Spicy Montreal Steak Seasoning, and I just kind of put a little bit much, but oh well. You kind of just drizzle it on one side, flip it over, do the other side. Now I'm gonna make the three other patties, and when you'll see how I'm gonna do it. Okay, so now we have all 4 patties, have the gunk on it. The stuff that's gonna go down into our bellies and turn into poo at the end. So, what you do, to make sure they don't fall apart, grab it carefully, obviously, and just put it in the pan or pot. I only do 2 at a time, purposely. I know, stupid idea. Don't do that at home, kids. That was actually kind of pointless, saying as though, hey, you're going to use a spatula and scoop it over and you could squish it down and stuff. Mad Wolf's kind of stupid. You might be wondering why Uncle Mad Wolf is stupid today and drinking coffee at around 8:30 at night. Yeah, I didn't get much sleep. I did take about an hour nap on the sofa. But anyway, all this is besides the point. There is the hamburgers. Yeah. All this is kind of besides the point. Here we have some hamburgers, and they're grilling. They're kind of doing their thing. You kind of have to wait for this. You cook it for a couple minutes, flip it over. I prefer my burgers well done. And, yeah, because I like my meat thoroughly cooked. I don't like, medium rare is not too bad. But, I actually prefer something in between medium rare and well done. I would prefer well done, though. So, these are kind of grilling. And let's just flip them over, see how they're doing here. I use a pot for a couple of reasons. And I've learned when you're doing this sort of thing, and you have one hand busy, it helps to have walls. So yeah, we got that. We're squishing it down to get all that grease and the gunk out of there. And you just keep letting it cook for a couple minutes, and then you flip it over again. Guys, you're probably once again asking, hey, Mad Wolf, don't you know that cooking hamburgers on a barbecue is actually a lot tastier? Yes. Yes, sometimes you can't cook on a barbecue, though. I particularly do not have a barbecue living in this apartment. And, sometimes it's the dead of winter. Do you really want to go outside and cook on a barbecue when you're covered in wet, rain, or snow? You can't bring technically you could bring a barbecue inside, but hell, that is really stupid and dangerous. Your house or apartment is just going to get filled up with smoke. So this is actually a lot nicer alternative. you know, sometimes there are certain luxuries to cooking and stuff we don't get to have. And yes, with barbecues, you get the flavor of the charcoal. Here, you just kind of get the flavor of that, the pan, the pot, or whatever you prefer to cook it in. But, so anyway, I'm continuing to squish these down. You can see all that grease and oil coming out of the meat. And then flip it over. These are actually looking pretty good, but one of the hard things about hamburger is you don't see the inside. The inside could still be pretty rare, but, I've been cooking this for about 10 minutes now, and I think it's time I put on one of the other reasons why I put this in a thing, and in a pot. And this is not going to do much of anything by itself. Once again, Mad Wolf is purposely putting his hand in the pot because he's not exactly the smartest tool in the shed right now. But, hey, he also only has one hand. So, when you're cooking it like that, the thing to remember is you're going to have to flip the cheese side down. And that's something I kind of taught myself. I'm going to get into it in just a second. See how the cheese on the pan, on the actual metal part of the pan is melting, whereas the cheese on top isn't really doing much of anything. And that is because it's directly on the heat source, and this is where things get fun. Let's go ahead and start with this one. So we do that. I like to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Come on, get back on the spatula. Flip it upside down. Now that cheese is then all melted. Pretty cool, isn't it? You don't want to do it too much, or else the cheese can burn onto the pan. And some of it already is, because it drips off. And you could use whatever cheese you want. You can use American, you can use pepper jack, you can use Swiss, whatever your heart fancies. But, yeah, so there we have 2 hamburgers. 2 cheeseburgers. And I will say, if there's anything that says American food, it's cheeseburgers. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. So I'm getting a plate now. Because these 2 burgers are done. I still have to cook the other 2. You might be wondering where Arctic is. She's at work right now. There's 2 readily made cheeseburgers. I'm actually going to finish up cooking these. And I really do hope you have a good night. Or, I don't know, Boogeyman might come out of the shadows and eat your soul or whatever. I don't know.